In the basement of this building, some of the world's most dangerous men simply vanished. No trial, no charges, no record they were ever here. The question isn't whether it happened, it's how no one noticed. This is Bucharest, Romania, a bustling European capital. And on this ordinary street, along these busy train tracks, the CIA ran one of its most important prisons in the War on Terror. After September 11th, 2001, the United States government made a decision. High-value terror suspects would disappear into a network of secret prisons, black sites, hidden from the law, hidden from the world. But while other prisons were buried in remote forests or military bases, this one was different. This one was hidden in plain sight. This is the story of Bright Light. In the months after 9/11, the CIA was given unprecedented authority. The mission was simple: capture al-Qaeda operatives and extract intelligence by any means necessary. No, but there was a problem. These men couldn't be held on U.S. soil. They couldn't be sent to Guantanamo Bay. Not yet. The administration needed somewhere off the books, somewhere deniable. So the CIA turned to its allies, countries willing to host what the agency called enhanced interrogation sites. In exchange for money, intelligence sharing, and political favor, a handful of governments agreed. Thailand, Poland, Lithuania, and Romania. But Romania's black site, codenamed Bright Light, was unlike any other. The National Registry Office for Classified Information, ORNISS, a dull, bureaucratic name for a dull, bureaucratic building. It sits just 2 blocks from a major boulevard in northern Bucharest. Residential homes line the street. Train tracks run directly beside it. Commuters pass it every single day. On the surface, Duornis is exactly what it claims to be: a secure facility where Romania stores classified NATO and European Union documents. But in the fall of 2003, the CIA approached the Romanian government with a request. They needed a building, secure, accessible, and most importantly, already protected by the Romanian government. President Ion Iliescu approved the request. He later claimed he didn't ask what the building would be used for. His advisor, Ioan Talpeș, was more direct. He told the CIA, "We don't want to know." And so, in the basement of a government records office, the CIA built a prison. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the architect of 9/11, Ramzi bin al-Shib, a key planner of the attacks, Abd al-Nashiri, accused of bombing the USS Cole, Walid bin Atash, Abu Faraj al-Libi. These were the CIA's highest-value detainees, men the agency believed held the keys to dismantling al-Qaeda. In September 2003, on a Boeing 737, a plane known to be operated by the CIA landed in Bucharest. On board were Mohammed and bin Atash, transferred from the Black Site in Poland. They were driven in unmarked vans through the city. The vehicles entered the ORNISS compound through a rear gate, away from the street. Within minutes, the prisoners were inside. The basement had been transformed. 6 prefabricated cells, each mounted on springs. The floors shifted slightly underfoot, designed to disorient. Each cell had a clock, an arrow pointing toward Mecca. And for the next 3 years, this basement became a black hole. Men entered, and legally, they ceased to exist. What happened in those cells was classified. But former CIA officials have confirmed the methods. Sleep deprivation, for days. Detainees were doused with cold water, slapped, forced into painful stress positions for hours. In waterboarding, the technique that would later become synonymous with CIA torture, was not performed in Romania. That was reserved for other sites. But what happened here was brutal enough. In 2018, the European Court of Human Rights issued a ruling. It found that detainees at Bright Light were subjected to incommunicado, solitary confinement, continuous noise of high and varying intensity, continuous light, blindfolding, hooding, leg shackles. Abid al-Nashiri, one of the prisoners, described conditions that amounted to psychological torture. The court agreed. It ruled that Romania had violated the European Convention on Human Rights. But here's the thing. While this was happening, life outside continued as normal. Commuters took the train. Families walked their dogs. No one knew that just meters away, in a basement cell, men were being interrogated by the CIA. Most black sites were designed to be invisible. The CIA's prison in Lithuania was in the countryside, surrounded by forest. The one in Poland was inside a military installation, guarded and remote. But Bright Light was the opposite. It was in the middle of a city. And that was the point. Former CIA officials later explained the logic. A remote facility attracts attention. It requires heavy security, convoys, checkpoints, questions. But a government building that's already secure, that already has a reason to exist, that's perfect. Ornis employees worked upstairs, at managing classified NATO documents. They had no idea what was happening below them. And because the building was already a restricted site, locals had learned not to ask questions. When journalists later interviewed neighbors, most said the same thing. They knew the building was important. They knew not to get too close. But they never suspected it was a CIA prison. The CIA exploited this. Detainees were moved in and out at night, through the rear entrance. To anyone watching, it looked like routine government business. And the train tracks? They weren't a flaw. They were an asset. The constant noise masked any sounds from the basement. Bright Light wasn't hidden despite being in plain sight. It was hidden because it was in plain sight. For the CIA officers assigned to Bright Light, the work was monotonous. They served 90-day rotations, slept on the compound, ate their meals there. They weren't allowed to leave. Early in the prison's operation, the officers had ventured into the neighborhood. But their presence, foreigners who didn't speak Romanian, raised suspicion. So they stayed inside. The days blurred together, monitoring detainees, conducting interrogations, writing reports. In the beginning, intelligence was valuable. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed provided details about Al-Qaeda's structure. Abu Faraj al-Libi, who arrived in June 2005, gave information that would later help the CIA identify Osama bin Laden's courier. And that courier would eventually lead the CIA to bin Laden himself in Abbottabad, Pakistan. But as the years passed, the intelligence dried up. The detainees had been interrogated dozens of times. They had nothing left to give. One former officer later complained that the CIA was just babysitting prisoners whose value had long since diminished. By 2006, Bright Light had become a liability. The Black Site program was never meant to be discovered. But in 2005, journalists began connecting the dots. Investigators used flight records. A Boeing 737, known to be operated by the CIA, had made repeated trips to Bucharest. The same plane had flown to Guantanamo Bay, to Morocco, to Poland. Human rights organizations filed lawsuits. They demanded answers. Where were these prisoners being held? What was being done to them? In 2008, the Romanian parliament launched an investigation. Their conclusion? No CIA prisons existed in Romania, and the government denied everything. ORNISS officials called the allegations impossible. But in 2011, the Associated Press and German public television ARD Panorama published a joint investigation. They had found the prison. They identified the building. They interviewed former CIA officials who confirmed the location. They even obtained the layout of the basement. In 2014, former President Iliescu finally admitted the truth. Yes, he had approved the use of the building. But he claimed he didn't know the details. The European Court didn't buy it. In 2018, they ruled that Romania had knowingly participated in the CIA's torture program. The court ordered Romania to pay 100,000 euros in damages to Abd al-Nashiri. But by then, Bright Light had been closed for over a decade. In early 2006, CIA Director Porter Goss made a decision. The black sites in Romania and Lithuania would be shut down. The detainees were transferred. Some went to Guantanamo Bay. Others were moved to black sites in Afghanistan or Morocco. The cells in the Ornis basement were dismantled, the springs removed, the clocks taken down. Upstairs, Ornis employees continued their work, storing classified documents. If they ever wondered what had happened in the basement, they didn't ask. By May 2006, Bright Light was gone. Officially, it had never existed. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed remains at Guantanamo Bay. His trial has been delayed for years, mired in legal challenges over his torture. Abd al-Nashiri faces death penalty charges before a military tribunal. Ramzi bin al-Shib has been deemed mentally unfit to stand trial. They spent years in the basement of a building in Bucharest, and legally, that time doesn't exist. Today, the Ornis building still stands. It still stores classified information. Commuters still pass it on their way to work. Most locals now know the truth, but it feels distant, abstract, like something from a spy novel. Bright Light was just one site in a global network. Over 50 countries participated in the CIA's rendition and detention program. Some hosted prisons. Others allowed their airspace to be used for transfers. Others simply looked the other way. In 2014, the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee released a report on the CIA's interrogation program. It confirmed what many had suspected. The program was brutal. It was ineffective. And it was far more extensive than the public had been told. In 2018, Gina Haspel was confirmed as CIA director. She had overseen the black site in Thailand, where Abd al-Nashiri was waterboarded. Her confirmation sent a message. There would be no accountability. The European Court of Human Rights has ruled against Poland, Lithuania, and Romania. But no CIA officer has ever been prosecuted. No government official has faced charges. And so, the building remains. A monument to a program that was never supposed to be discovered. A reminder that the most effective secrets aren't buried in remote locations. They're hidden in plain sight. In the years after 9/11, the world changed. Governments made decisions that would have been unthinkable before. They built prisons in basements. They disappeared. They called it necessary. But necessity has a way of becoming normal. And normal has a way of becoming invisible. The question isn't whether it happened, and we know it did. The question is, what else is happening right now, in buildings we pass every day, that we'll only learn about years from now? Some secrets are buried. Others are hidden in plain sight.